Welcome to the Legacy Podcast, making our Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) more famous for action. We are moving from the resources, the water, the energy to the activity. Our activity, how we spend our time, create value, and build the future of our societies. The global gap in economics is the dangerous belief that growth is just a number on a GDP chart, a gross domestic product chart. On CLP, United Nations Mama is correcting this. Growth without decency is just exploitation. If the previous goals provided the infrastructure, like we have talked about the water, energy, education, sustainable development goal A, decent work and economic growth is the engine. It asks a critical question. How do we grow our economies in a way that does not break the worker or the planet? Today, you are going to be solving your action paralysis towards a decent work and economic growth by redefining what productivity means. It is not about working more hours. It's about working smarter and purposefully. It's about ensuring that your work is a source of dignity, not a source of suffering. Localizing the Sustainable Development Goal A, decent work and economic growth, means moving from being a hired hand to a value creator. It's about building a world where the economy serves the people rather than the people being consumed by that economy. I am your host, United Nations, and I'm so glad you are here. Today's legacy will be to talk about the 8th Sustainable Development Goal, the decent work and economic growth goal. For you to grab your knowledge, discover your role, and do your action. Decent work also means the right to rest. We live in a hustle culture that equates your worth with your exhaustion. But a growth model that requires you to burn out is not sustainable. True economic growth is about human flourishing. You flourishing, where your work is a creative expression of your talent, not a mechanical extraction of your time. Your awareness action gap in Sustainable Development Goal A, the decent work and economic growth, closes when you realize that the economy is not a thing that just happens to you or to us all. It is a social contract we sign every day, something you create with every choice. On TLP, United Nations Mama is making you believe that the most important economic growth is the growth of your human potential. A world where everyone has a job but no one has a life is a failed world. Come on, a world where the GDP goes up while the dignity just keeps on going down is a world going through bankrupt. We want to move toward an economy that is secular, fair, and human. Building a world where your work is not just what you do to survive, but the gift you give to nature. So today, you have to grab your knowledge, discover your role, and do your action, because the true wealth of your legacy is not found in gold you live in the vault on your locker somewhere on your bank account, but in the safety and freedom you position your day-to-day life for. To truly close your awareness action gap towards our sustainable development goal is the decent work and economic growth. You have to understand the real or foundational purpose of why the goal was created in the first place. And that's why we'll be looking at the targets, the curated targets from the United Nations organizations for the decent work and economic growth. It is the United Nations trying to say this is what we want to achieve towards the decent work and economic growth, especially before 2030 or by 2030. Target 8.1, 8.2, and Target 8.4 combined is talking about sustainable growth and productivity. It's about sustaining our per capita income growth and achieving higher levels of productivity through innovation and upgrading our technologies. The simple meaning is that this is about working smarter. It demands that we decouple economic growth from environmental degradation. We should be getting richer by being more efficient, not by using up more nature. Target 8.3, 8.5, and 8.8 combined is talking about decent work and equal pay. It's trying to achieve full and productive employment and decent work for all, including young people and persons with disabilities, and equal pay for work of equal value. The simple meaning is this: it's about your job security, safety, and fairness. It means your job should be enough your job should be enough for you to live on, and your gender or background should never shrink or determine the amount you are paid or how you are treated in your workplace, especially in the financial aspect. Target 8.6 and 8.7 and also Target 8.B is about ending modern slavery and youth unemployment. This target is looking into taking immediate measures to eradicate forced labor, modern slavery, and child labor, substantially reducing the proportion of youth not in employment, education, or training. The simple meaning is that it is the global commitment to ending what we call the shadow economy, where children are robbed of their childhood and workers are treated as disposable commodities. Target 8.9 and 8.10, both of them are talking about sustainable tourism and financial access. The target is about promoting sustainable tourism that creates jobs. I know most of you love tourism. It's about creating sustainable tourism that creates jobs and promotes local culture, strengthening the capacity of domestic financial institutions to encourage and expand. I mean, this target is literally about sustainable tourism and also strengthening the capacity of domestic financial institutions to encourage and expand your access to banking. The simple meaning is this: is about making sure, let me say, that small player, the local tour guide or the micro entrepreneur has the same access to the global economy as our giant corporations. They should not be limited based on the level of their work or the nature of their job. Don't say, oh, this is just the person touring us around the whole museum or the whole place or country or wherever that you went for your tourism, and automatically they are being looked down on in every aspect, and they don't have the same access that big personalities or others have. So you have to discover your role. For someone that is into technology, you should be able to build platforms that give gig workers benefits and security, or to use AI to make labor-intensive jobs safer and more productive. This right now, doing this is you are looking at the target 8.2 specifically. For the fashion students, You must ensure that the growth of your brand does not come from a factory using child labor or unsafe conditions and exploitations. Yes, you should try looking into it. You cannot know unless you decide to search or you are curious enough. If you are doing this or if you decide to start doing this, you are trying to hit target 8.7. For the corporate leader or the CEO, decent work starts with you. Flexi issue. Ensure your office or your corporation or your enterprise has flexible work hours, mental health support, and transparent pay as as your primary tools. For the students or for the youth, you are the future workforce. Your role is to demand green skills and to choose employers whose values align with the 2030 agenda or sustainable development, especially if you have aligned your passion to one or more goals. You should be looking for the organization that is promoting the sustainable development goal you're passionate about or what you're passionate about that is aligned to one or more SDGs, and also an employer or a mentor towards that. This is not the time to just be all about the money or all about the just the material benefits. You have to look beyond that for a sustainable future. For the local artisan, you are a cultural custodian. Your work keeps local traditions alive while bringing in foreign currency. Your role is to move from middlemen to direct to consumer sales to keep more of the value you create. For a community member, every time you choose to buy from a neighbor rather than a global app or something so big, you are providing decent work direct. Our case study for today for the Sustainable Development Goal 8, decent work and economic growth, is M-Pesa and the entrepreneurial leap from Kenya. The problem: millions of people were unbacked, that's without a bank account. They could not get loans, save securely, or even grow a small business. They were literally locked out of economic growth. Yes, you can say that. What was the solution that M-Pesa provided? M-Pesa turned every mobile phone into a bank branch. It allowed people to send, receive, and store money via text messages. What was the result of this from the solution they provided to this problem of people being millions of, you know what it means for millions of people in a country or in a nation to be without a bank account? Like, it was so evident. M-Pesa stood up and said, we are providing solution to this. Now, what was the result of this solution they boldly took on to provide? Number one, by allowing users to convert cash to digital money, there was about a massive network of, and also they also provided a massive network of 600,000 agents, like small shopkeepers, kiosks. It reached areas that traditional branches could not. You know, in a nation, any bank will literally choose, let me say, 2 or 3 branches in a state or more, just depending on how they want to expand, but they could never decide to put like 100 branches in a state, trying to reach every corner of that state. It will still require people to come from far kilometers to visit the banks to do 1 or 2 things. Now, M-Pesa not only brought up a digital mobile phone or app, they created agents in every corner, shop, street to provide these services. Over 465,000 businesses in Kenya started or now use M-Pesa, with the platform functioning as a vital tool for small and medium-scale enterprises to receive payments, manage inventory, and cut down on the risk associated with carrying cash. The world's financial inclusion and empowerment. M-Pesa has been critical in providing financial independence to women who often face greater barriers to traditional banking. It also had an impact to Kenya economy. So literally, M-Pesa has contributed to economic development by creating efficient, adaptive payment system that serves all sectors from retail to government. There was also poverty reduction. Research has indicated that M-Pesa lifted a substantial percentage of Kenya households out of poverty, or has lifted, particularly by empowering women-headed households. So this platform also brought about economic growth. It was shown to increase the economic growth and total productivity, or the fact of productivity. So what is your lesson, or what is the lesson we learn from this M-Pesa initiative or solution? Solve local problems. M-Pesa tried to solve the local problem. It did not just focus on one big global problem, or it looked into the most local problem people were facing, and it succeeded by addressing these real local challenges rather than importing Silicon Valley solutions, or solutions that were too big for people to grab. See, it's another thing to identify a problem as local, and it's also another thing to follow up that problem with local actions. I'm not trying to bring something that is so complicated or so complex that people will find it very hard to adapt to. As long as it's local, your solution should likely be a bit above local, but very, very much easy to understand, or in the same locality level. It also leveraged existing infrastructure by using airtime dealers as agents. It built a rapid network. Also, the Central Bank of Kenya's approach allowed the service to grow without being stifled by rigid premature regulations. That is, the government, or the CBN of Kenya nation, did not see this problem and say, oh, this is the time we make good money off it. I mean, this solution, or the rapid growth of the M-Pesa, say, oh, this is the time we use tax to make good portion of them. No, instead it brought about a mild or uncomplicated regulations around the M-Pesa business. Financial inclusion is the oil in the engine of sustainable development goal 8. When everyone can participate in the financial system, the whole economy grows up from the bottom. So you have to know this in order to even want to or be interested in the decent work and economic growth development goal. The M-Pesa is a very big, though it may be old and old record, so to say, but is a bit old, but it's a very good case study for you to take courage and look for that local problem near you. And so let's move ahead to your actions towards the sustainable development goal, decent work and economic growth. The Legacy podcast is about both local and professional actions. So some of these steps are steps you can start to take now or even tomorrow in your workplace or even right now as you are done listening to this legacy. You can start to spend your money today at a small independent business. Also, if you use a service, try to provide a decent tip to support the worker's income. You can look at where your clothes are made, research that country's labor laws. You can also identify one future skill or skills that is said to be the future, whether digital, green, or emotional intelligence you need to learn. Also, in your next meeting, ensure the most junior person has a chance to speak. If you work in a physical environment, report one safety hazard today. Almost the one everyone is overlooking or doesn't, oh, there's always happening. Try to report it and get to the root of why this cannot be solved. Of course, it's solvable, it should be solved. Follow or share a post from a local entrepreneur. Don't wait till when people blow up before you can support them. In that little stage they are, whether they are starting their business, sending their business flyers to you or whatever be their startup, try to support them. If you not even talking about financially now, but you can support them by liking their post, following their page, and not just ignoring the whole existence and not supporting in one way or the other. It's not for you to support in every way. Maybe there are 100 ways to support. You're supporting in every way. If you can, fine, but it's almost not recommended because you have to also have time for yourself and for your own growth and personal development. So you can just choose one or two ways to support them, and that is it. Acknowledge the person cleaning your office or serving you your coffee or your food. Try to thank them one or two times. Apart from the fact that they bring your food, try to tell them, oh, well done. And also commend them on their manner of approach of how they just take everything or do their work so seriously. If you employ someone, even a freelancer that is working online or something, check if you are paying the living wage, not just the minimum wage, salary or payment that is just enough, very enough for that person. You can also use your work hours for work productivity. Use your work hours for work. Productivity is your personal responsibility. Don't use your work hours and go and be watching a movie or go and be doing an extracurricular activity. No, there should be time for that. But if there should be time for that you have set up or that you can do another day. Yes. So when it's time for work, focus on work and do work. And when it's over, when work is over, face another thing, whether your personal life or something you do for fun, and do. Also update your CV. Ensure your skills reflect this decent work and economic growth that we are all heading towards. Remember, we said decent work and economic growth is not just about the work, but it's also about building a world where economy serves the people rather than the people being consumed by the economy. It's about working smarter with purpose, choosing where you work purposefully, choosing how you work purposefully. Every job is not for you. Every experience is not just something you just go out there and gain. And you are breaking your mental health down, your emotional health down, and so on. You will never be better off like that. So look into that. Look up a story about labor rights in your industry. Learn about these rights in the industry that you work on. Try to look into it. You can also offer one word of career advice to a student or to a junior or someone you know that is just coming up. Don't leave them all by themselves. If you have in any way, you can give them one or two resources that really helped you grow. Give it to them. Let it now be that that person did not bother to look into it. But by doing this, you are growing your state of heart, your state of emotions, and you are even building yourself up for a time when you will just remember all this and you have a new energy to face your career more. Yes, I'm sure you can or you may be able to understand this statement. Also, try to review your subscriptions. Are you paying for exploitative platforms? You can decide to start choosing ethical alternatives. Transparent talk. Try transparent talk. If comfortable, talk to a colleague about salary to ensure pay equity. You cannot, don't just try to be holding it all in by yourself. Try to talk to another person and see how you guys can move past that or present it for a change. Identify one task you do just to look busy and stop doing it. There's no need to please or anybody or to deceive yourself. Identify that one task you just do to waste time and use that time to do something productive. It's not going to be easy when you start off, but when you learn that act or that character, you are really going to enjoy it. Let 90% of 90 or 80% of the things you do not be what you do just to pass by the time, pass by the months. As you're passing by those times and those months and those years, no growth personally, no growth professionally, no growth in your career, no growth in your business. You cannot be happy with yourself and you may not even have the chance to be happy for others or even help out anyone. So stop it and stop look into those tasks and stop doing it and try to be more productive. The more productive you are, the more happier you become. I always like to say this. Low self-esteem is the outcome of unreleased potential. When you know that you're supposed to be doing something or you know that you are more than this or you can do more, even when you're seeing another person doing it, but you're not doing it, or forget another person. Personally, you know that you can be more. It really brings down your low self-esteem. Now, the fact that your self-esteem has been brought down should not mean that it should remain down. There should be a time whereby you say, "Oh, I'm going to grow this month." You tell yourself, "I'm growing this month." Whether you are choosing personal growth, next you choose professional growth, next you choose career growth, next you choose your business growth or relationship or friendship growth, or you know how you mix and combine everything. Now, everything don't have to be perfect the first time. No, it's going to be really hard and sometimes confusing, and you be tempted to ask yourself, this is even more confused, looking more confusing than when I was just by myself. But when you start to do it, you start to see, you start to discover so many things. Your character start to align, your emotions start to align. You find yourself doing those things proactively, or I mean without even pushing yourself to do it. It just becomes part of you. You can also learn to buy a product directly from a maker. You can use app like ETSY or a local market to eliminate exploitative middlemen. See, one of the problems, especially in any production is mostly middlemen. Any price middleman puts and sells to others is exactly like they determine the whole stress and the whole goodness kind of. So also, if you can try the gratitude action, if a freelancer does a great job or everyone does a great job, leave a glowing review for them, review them outstandingly. You see, that review is one of their most valuable growth assets, whether personally or they are growing their audience. Just you saying that and being authentic about it is very important. It may not mean anything to you in the aspect that you are commenting them, but it means a lot to them. They can go to any extent to just praising this, making their audience know how good they are. If no one comments them, how would they prove to their audience how good they are? Or if no one draws back a review. So try to be reviewing products that you use or people that work for you. Also try to pay on time. If you own a small business or a large business or use a friend for a service, pay them the amount the moment your cash arrives, or I mean the moment is due for you to pay. Cash flow is more like the lifeblood of small growth. Withholding the cash coming into a small business or a small enterprise or even a normal person is very hard, especially is very is going to make them suffer, especially when that is their only source of income or their major source of income. You are really cutting, more like you are cutting off their oxygen. So you have to try as much as possible to pay on time. If you don't have the result, don't even bother to even hire the service. Yes, unless it's for the sake of unforeseen circumstances and so on, and genuinely you just don't have to pay them, then you have to know how to explain it to them, not to ignore their calls and everything. Also, never ask a professional friend to work for you for free or something, someone you know. Don't just say because they are close to you, then every work they do for you is free. No, try to pay them what they deserve to be paid. Also, try to take 20 or more minutes of your time to or break to protect the idea that you must always be productive. That is meditation. Not every day you're always active working. Let there be a time of um, separation, meditation. You are just however you like to meditate in whatever environment, whether inside your home or you love to go in a very quiet place or a library or so on, and try to look for either evaluate how everything is going, whether in your work or your career, or you are checking in on new ways to be more productive and grow professionally or personally. You can also start to practice this character of if you see someone working in unsafe conditions, let me say a construction worker without a helmet or a bike person without a helmet also, you can also try to talk to them. But if in a serious case, because most of these things are rules that follow these works or industry that they should wear an helmet. But if in a serious case, and like some people just end up making it a personal choice, even welders today, when you see them, they don't even like to wear those Google glasses. So most people have made it a personal choice to do whatever they want. But in a serious case whereby this person is supposed to be doing this, if not, it may harm others, you have to report it. And it's not doing it, you have to report it. You can also Try to learn about or be literate about child labor. Research which common household foods like cocoa or your coffee are high risk for child labor and switch to certified fair trade versions. Skill sharing, spend more of your or some of your time teaching a colleague or a mentee, right? A student a shortcut that makes their job easier, not illegal shortcut or negative shortcut. A positive way to do what they are doing and be more productive, even sometimes spending less of their time or their resources. Yes, in every job always has that. It's just that most people are unaware and they're unaware of it or they are just newbies in the environment. Normalize salaries. Be the person who starts the conversation about what is a fair rate for this in your circle. Don't be the one that despises the salary pay. That is when you see people working in that organization or people working for you. You look at paying them as something you are doing them a favor. No. Paying your workers' salary on your organization, looking into that salary normalization mentality is very important. Every worker deserves their pay. Some of the professional or habits for community impact are these. You can start to commit 1 hour a week or more to mentor a group of people or your community, host programs, um, mentorship sessions, and so on. You can also try to move your savings to a bank that does not fund modern slavery or environmental destruction and so on, or just known for one bad thing or the other. You can also suggest one way your office could be more accessible. It's not every time you are the CEO who is not seeing you, you're not even seeable, or you are the owner. It's not even as if that you may be that, whether you are that big or small. Try to be accessible, whether to your workers or to your people that love you, your fans. Just look for one way or the other to give back to them emotionally or physically or in any way financially. You can book your next tourism trip or travel, holiday travel through a local travel agency. You are trying to sustain their tourism work or enterprise or job. Take an online course in a high growth sector like renewable energy or AI. Yes, try to know one or more things about the fast growing or what we call the future courses or startups. Offer your professional skills, maybe say in accounting, marketing, law, medicine, and so on to a non-profit. People who cannot afford it, to a non-profit organization or just random people in your community or in the area where you work, people that cannot afford it, you can decide to offer those your skills to an organization or directly offer them to people. If you are hiring, try to remove your screening bias when looking into people's CV and so on. Learn about the role of labor unions in protecting worker safety. Propose one way your office can reduce paper or energy waste. You can also teach a workshop on basic budgeting for your local community. Learn a new technique for managing workspace stress, and so on, conflict resolution. Yes, you have to learn. You have to be humble enough to learn about how to manage conflict in your workplace, even your own stress. Don't carry all the burden by yourself and say, "Oh, I'll pass by it." No, it will bring you down in ways you may not even expect. So try to learn whether through books or people that are talking about it online or videos based on their own experiences and so on. Ensure all the interns in your companies are paid. Unpaid internship can block social mobility or lead to low motivation and so on. Um, Feature a local artisan on your social media, that is small business spotlight or enterprise spotlight, or someone you know that is starting out small or whatsoever. However, try to show a little spotlight on them. Look at the people who facilitate your life, the cleaners, security, drivers. Are they treated with dignity? Are they treated with respect? Both coming from you, and also if it's not on you, maybe on your job, on your boss and so on. If they are not treated, try to speak up about it so that they would also take the treatment they deserve. Create a group where your neighbors trade skills. You know this, I know this. Yeah, let's spend 30 minutes talking. Spend 30 minutes talking about this your skill, maybe accounting or agriculture to me. I'll spend 30 minutes or more talking about what I know to you. You guys are exchanging ideas and so on. Support youth vocations. Hire a student for a small gig, maybe something like social media management or a backyard work or garden, and pay them a professional rate. Don't just look at the nature of the job they are doing and drastically reduce their the amount you wish to pay them just based on what you say. Oh, this is small. And if that is small, why don't you just go and do it by yourself and pay yourself? So most people do some of this work because they don't have choice, or because they just want to use it to keep themselves busy. But at the same time, remember, you are working towards a sustainable, decent work and economic growth that serves the people, not the people being borne down by it. So you can start as a number one example in paying them a very good rate, even if all others are not doing it, or that's not just the normal way to do it. The normal way may not always be the right way. Advocate for the right to disconnect. I mean, propose a policy in your group or office that no one is expected to answer messages after 6 p.m. Everyone should go and rest and face other parts of their life. Because sometimes people may feel compelled in ways that they are not even being asked to do something they are to do something when it's past the time. Just maybe they want to gain more favor. Please tell them that you are that CEO who wants them to grow personally. So work time is work time, after work time is after work time. Spend your weekend being a tourist in your own city. Yes, you cannot just be dreaming to be a tourist in other countries, which is very nice and fair, but also try to visit your city, local craft center or small museum or whatsoever. If you work alone, join or start a co-working hub to share costs and reduce the isolation of the gig economy. Donate or volunteer with organizations like that serve justice or is aiming to end modern slavery and so on. Transition your company from make take waste to a circular model. Sustainable, renewable, not just um, the use and waste culture and so on. Support microfinance institutions that help women in developing countries start businesses, or small local farmers or entrepreneurs and so on. Support international treaties that protect migrant workers. Fund or establish a local vocational training hub, that is a youth training center for so many reasons you could have. You can choose one, whether you are trying to improve their tech skills or personal development, so many in diverse industries and so on. Invest in industries that are part of the clean energy transition, like in Legacy 9 discussed about affordable and clean energy. So you can try to lay out your skills or invest in industries that are transitioning into the clean energy, not the ones that are still trying to burn down our planet. Fund a student from an underprivileged background to attend a school. Use platforms, available platforms to lend to a tailor or a farmer in a developing nation. Commit to teaching your skill to someone, one or two persons or more persons in months or in a month or in a year. Advocate for a depth for nature swap, that is supporting international policies where developing nations have their debt forgiven in exchange for investing in green jobs and conservation. This ensures their economic growth. Target 8.1 doesn't come at the cost of the planet. Also, contact your trade representatives to support fair trade agreements that prevent social dumping, that is the practice or the act of importing cheap goods produced from exploited labor. Use digital platforms to mentor a young entrepreneur in a least developed country. Yes, LDCs. You can search it. The United Nations have a record of countries that are regarded as least developed countries. You can start to look for ways to support people there, whether physically or possibly online. Or maybe if you are starting up an organization or a non-governmental organization, let there be a section whereby people from the least development countries are exempted from a particular requirement that must be provided in that application. Yes, it's very possible. You can also, if you're a leader, create a shadow board of youth under 25 in your organization. Give them real power to influence your economic strategy. Give them real power to make or to present the decisions or the ideas that they have, and work for it or work towards it. Show them that you value that their youthful energy, you value their ideas, and in every way possible, let them feel the power and the growth also. You can also choose to recommend them to anywhere possible for them to grow by gain skills and come back to the organization. You can also try to support the global minimum tax, that is support efforts of international efforts to ensure multinational corporations pay a fair share of tax wherever they operate. This provides nations with the financial sovereignty to invest in their own social protection system. This is hitting the target 8.B. You can support legislation that forces manufacturers to make products repairable. This creates a massive global market for local repair jobs. You cannot be building products that there are no parts in the market, and there is no enough skill trained or person, or you don't have any vision to train to have globally enough skills or to train people to actually know how to repair those things when they are spoiled, whether providing online courses or physical training globally in every nation you are putting out those products. So try to make your whatever you're manufacturing repairable, making the parts or so on, these parts of that product or the skills available to the larger market. You can push for industry standards that ensure AI is used to augment, that is, support human labor rather than replacing it. So you can fund a scholarship for a student from an emerging economy to study sustainable economics and courses towards it. Whatever they are passionate about, number one, courses towards sustainable development goals from any industry, whether finance, energy, food and agriculture, and so on. Your ultimate action should be to committing to a lifestyle where you never profit from someone else's misery, but instead you are auditing your life annually or progressively to ensure that your wealth, your work, and your wisdom are consistently used to lift the floor of human dignity. Redefining your personal success not by the size of your bank account, but by the number of people you have helped find their own decent work. Your awareness action gap in economies also closes when you realize that every dollar you spend and every hour you work is a vote for the kind of world you want to live in. You cannot be doing things that destroy the world and expect that you are going to live peacefully in that world. No, one way or the other is still going to come back at you. So you have to spend your dollar wisely, spend your hours wisely, spend your passion wisely towards working for exactly the kind of world you want to live in. On the Legacy podcast, United Nations Mama have made you believe that economic growth is only successful if it leaves the worker stronger and the world cleaner, the world at large cleaner. We don't just want a bigger economy, we want a better one. Economy is not just a thing that happens to you, it is something you create with every choice you make. The most important economic growth is the growth of your human potential. When we have to stop treating people like human resources and start treating them like human beings. You have now grabbed your knowledge, you have now discovered your role. Now do your action, because the true wealth of a nation is not measured in its good, but in the dignity of its people. And a world that works for everyone is the only world that truly works. Stay connected to the Legacy Podcast.